This poem's called Let the Universe In. I've never read them aloud to anyone. Let the universe in. My mother always tells me that my life revolves around technology, that the touchscreen I clutch in my hands every second of the day is determining my every move, that every bling and buzz acts as an activation key to my nervous system, zapping me like a dog with an electric color. The thought seems comical to me, that the black and pink rectangle in my hand merges together the mechanics of my daily timetable, the emotional and biological details of my menstrual cycle, and the bits and pieces of love letters exchanged across seas and continents between my fiancé and myself. It serves as a sort of physical mantra, a reminder that I indeed am connected to the rest of the world through stellar satellites and inquisitive search and find databases. My mother always tells me that my life revolves around technology, and I usually refuse to admit she is right, because every time I hear this question, I get the urge to open all the windows and let the universe in, to prove that my daily project of leaving more fingerprints on the screen of my phone is meaningless.
Our generation has grown up with a lot of the tech advances, at least the tech advances of today.
I must have been 6 or 7. I think it was like the first grade. That was about the time I had started using computers in class. So it was just all of a sudden like immersed.
I think I was like 5 or 6 when we got our first home computer. I think probably the internet has had like a bigger effect on our generation because we were kind of growing up during the time that it really came around, and there was kind of a hype about it, and it's become like more usable and more accessible, and it's become more of a part of society.
I only got internet at my house like 5 months ago. It's a very recent development. It's not something that has been there for a long time. My generation treats technology as a liberator. It helps you find your own tribe. It helps you find your place in the world.
I had a computer when I was in a kindergarten. I think it was like Windows 95. It is really hard to imagine life without internet. I won't know so many friends, and I won't know that the world is so wonderful. I won't even be the person that I am.
I know for a fact that I can't live without being able to dance. Because I kind of feel like there are kind of like locks of emotions inside that I kind of have to like release. So it's very important. My mom danced for 10 years when she was younger, so it's kind of in the blood. I want some sort of profession out of it. Probably not something glamorous, but I'd like to teach and create stuff. I don't find friends easily. Or I don't let people in easily. I get very confused in a crowd of people. But at the same time, when it's a crowd full of people that I don't know, I don't feel like I have the obligation to interact with anyone. I can just be there, and the world can just forget about me for a second. And sometimes I need that. Everyone needs that sometimes.
For the next 3 weeks, I'm gonna be sort of like kind of nomading and living out of boxes and stuff like that until I go to Chicago. I graduate on Sunday and then move to Chicago June 1. Hey. Do you want to do fridge first, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Was the coils all frosted up?
Huh, yeah.
Okay.
When I came to MSU, my freshman year took Intro to Web Authoring, which is just, it's like a introductory web development class, and was just sort of like hooked. It was the first class I took where like I would go home and do more, like learn more on my own, and was just like really passionate about it. I'm not nervous about moving to Chicago, but
I feel like I definitely have to prove myself.
I am definitely more future-oriented than concerned about my history. I'm looking forward to starting over again. I think that's all I can fit for now.
I've lived in Nairobi for about 4 years now. Kenya is still a developing country, we're still a long way off, but Kenya is becoming bigger. Nairobi, to be specific. IBM have opened an office, I hear Microsoft are moving their Africa base here from South Africa. There are many examples I could give about how different technology has made things. Let's say some event has happened at home, maybe unfortunately someone has died. You would have to go personally to every single relative just to get them the news, because writing a letter would have taken about 2 weeks. So compare that to now, everyone you know has a mobile phone number. So to get them the news, all you need to do is send a text message and the news will be instantaneous. That has been a very major development. I did my last exam a month ago now. I studied geospatial engineering. We're involved with engineering structures such as building roads, bridges, buildings. In Kenya today, there's a lot of demand for geospatial engineers. The amount of work that needs to be done is immense.
Basically, I'm cooking for my parents tonight. I live in the dorm of the university in Shanghai, and Nanjing is my hometown. So in Shanghai, usually I just live in the dormitory, or sometimes I go to my boyfriend's place. But actually, my mother don't know this, but it's okay. Nanjing is a relatively big city, but it's slower than Shanghai. When I'm studying in Shanghai, the city is just awesome. But people living there are very stressful. I prefer to experience things slower and deeper. I don't know which city I love better, because Nanjing is my hometown, so of course, I have a very deep attachment for it, but I'm considering to stay in Shanghai to fight for a place. There's a huge difference between my generation and my parents' generation. My parents were born in 1960s, and at that time, China was very underdeveloped. In my parents' generation, they don't make choices according to themselves very often. So maybe to some extent they are more submissive, but my generation may tend to have more freedom. You can say we are more ambitious.
Three and a half months I was in the hospital. What's written on paper, at least, is I had visual hallucinations and auditory, and I had a lot of self-destructive behavior. I got this safety pin, and I like cuddle over my stomach, and then in the morning they admitted me. This is for bipolar. That's my antidepressant, and that's another antidepressant, but that's also for sleep. I take 2 of the bipolar one in the morning, 1 of the antidepressant in the morning, and 1 of the other one at night. It's very hard to think of when I started having hallucinations. It's like a room full of people. It's like there's a bunch of people inside. Like, for example, if I'm waiting for the metro, there might be one voice that I hear that says, "Jump under." I guess I can consider them as parts of myself that I'm kind of having a conversation. My family tries really hard to understand what I'm going through, but it's really difficult for them. I don't really have an easy time talking about, well, almost anything. Especially if I've been really, like, detached from people here. I've been trying to look for people to talk to online. I would say that Liz is my girlfriend, or that Liz is my fiance. She lives in North Carolina. We met on a Yahoo chat room. I remember that it felt like we'd known each other for a longer time before that, and we could just talk about almost anything even then. Liz has gone through a lot as well, and we can just say what is happening, and the other will understand why. She kind of like broke the curve, and I'm very glad that I met her because I don't know what would have happened otherwise. I went there about a year after we'd met, and I spent like 3 weeks there. It was like a really surreal moment because you kind of knew that person inside out, but at the same time it's a really big step forward to be able to actually like see that person and touch that person. If I mention that I'm engaged to someone who lives like a million miles away, there's usually a lot of skepticism. People might not consider it as something like real.
I think the connection on the website is sort of superficial. Relationship, like bond or friendship, cannot merely built by words. Or even like video chat. You have to like work through hardships, maybe just work through something. If you spend all the time browsing the website, you don't have time to do the real interaction with other people. This is Tim's masterpiece.
I always cook.
He's a pretty good chef. Better than me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like, have you made any really good friends online? No.
I don't know about those relationships or friendships you form online, whether they could have the same amount of realness or substance that offline relationships could have. But at the same time, you can't say it's not real when it's driven by people. You see, it's not machines that are communicating to each other over the internet. It's driven by some human need to communicate, so just different modes of expression.
I'd say social interaction in general has probably changed in our generation. It's a lot harder and it's a lot easier to have contact with people in different ways. If I were to meet someone and I'd message them on Facebook or something, there would be a lot less at stake there. 20 years ago, you would have to, like dial the home phone. And I think that's made it easier for us to get in contact, but probably harder to make meaningful interactions.
I know I'm a person that doesn't really go to a group of people and see who I think is interesting and then go talk to them. But if it's through chat room or something, it's not that difficult to go talk to people. I've probably made like a dozen friends online that I haven't met. We would really develop friendships. And then I think that it's not valued enough as a real sort of friendship. I feel like it's like a 50-50 situation in whether or not I spend more time of my life online or whether I spend it in reality. Social media, technically, you can have a social life without stepping out of your door. I don't know, it kind of builds this sort of wall from actually going out and seeing people. Especially for a person like me who has difficulty in seeing people anyway, that I don't have to go out. I can just talk to them like this.
We have a alternative at Facebook. That his name is Ren Ren, people. This is a dinner. It looks good. Okay. And someone just went to skiing and he posted some very good pictures. Oh, that's cool. And foods again. People just really like to post foods. People like to post everything on the website, like what they are doing, where do they eat. Maybe they want more attention from others. They want to be acknowledged by others. How do you prove your value? Is to be acknowledged by the society, and more importantly, by your surroundings, your friends. But why do I want to be connected to just acquaintance? I think is that because maybe in their heart they are lonely. I don't know who else can I be connected to. In this way, post on the Facebook, at least I can be connected to someone.
Is that too long?
Yeah, a little bit. That's good.
Is it
No, might be too short. No, it's good.
perfect? Do you want this top button? No?
Try it. Does it look bad?
It's too tight.
This feels really weird.
This past year has been a most special one for the College of Arts and Letters as we celebrated our 50th anniversary. You are graduating at one of the most dynamic and exciting moments in the history of our college. I am confident our future is bright as we prepare for the next 50 years through your leadership, values, and the broad perspective we have instilled in you.
Matthew Bush.
move out tomorrow? Or did you today?
I kind of moved. I moved some of my stuff out yesterday.
You see any of your prospective neighbors when you were there at all?
In Chicago?
Yeah.
So then how long is your commute to work gonna be?
Like 10, 15 minutes.
You've heard this story, I'm sure. He's a chubby little kindergartner, and the kindergartner shared a hall with the first graders, and Matt goes to take off his sweatshirt, and his undershirt came off with it, and he's standing there without a shirt on in the hallway, like crying.
I did start crying.
What do I do?
It was traumatizing. She's on Facebook a lot.
No,
Yeah, she is.
no.
Yeah, she
I
is.
had to get on Facebook to know it was to talk to you guys.
And now you are on Facebook a lot.
No, honestly, I wouldn't have done Facebook at all had it not been for you guys and keeping up with you guys. And it was a way to, communicate and see what was going on. And then, okay, next thing you're on Instagram. Okay, I have to get an Instagram account now, Not because I'm stalking you. It's because
And I still follow her on Twitter, even though you post
too,
nothing.
Mom.
I do what?
So you have Twitter too?
I do, but I don't.
Yeah, you have like 3 tweets.
Dad,
But yeah, I really only use
will
it
you ever
for
get a Facebook?
No,
Never. Why?
it's a generation thing. I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, I get tired of I won't name names, but people that have to tell you every time they, oh, I just went to the bathroom. Oh, I just did it. I was like, I don't need to know that. But I do like seeing it when you guys post and see what you guys are up to. And we talk about when we were doing a long distance relationship, it was snail mail or a 200-mile trip,
Yeah.
We went weeks without talking to each other.
Oh, big time. I think it's real exciting stuff.
A lot of young people now, if they can text, they won't call. If they can call, they won't meet each other. You're always connected to your friends. I mean, you will never be isolated from your community. People are so easy to get connected to other people. So sometimes we just lose the ability of standing the feeling of missing and the feeling of being alone.
The internet has definitely made the world more connected because that's what the internet is. It's a series of connections, whether it be through wires or over a network. It's connecting people and things together.
When people picture the internet, a lot of people just picture things living up in the cloud and satellites and stuff, but there's literally a giant wire going under the Atlantic connecting us to Europe. And if that were to sever, then we would have a problem. We're not just figuratively, but we're literally connected.
If I woke up tomorrow and there was no internet or anything of the kind, that all of it had disappeared, I think I probably would panic. I'm very connected to it. You can't really live without it. At least I know I couldn't.
There's a reliance forming on technology. The reliance is there, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. So long as everyone has access to it, then it's fine. It's improving the collective.
If we don't have internet, we can never know what life could be in the other continent far away from us. I like a sentence very much. I think it's from a famous author. He said, diversity is the essence of happiness. So I have to thank internet because it brings me to a place that I can see how diverse this world is and how beautiful it is. But here's another problem come, because people are connecting to each other, they tend to learn from each other, and they might pick up others' habits and others' value. Shanghai is so westernized. Young people like to watch Western TV series and to see the Hollywood films, and they like Western foods. So this connection also part of like huge diversity. Globalization may cause them to lose its culture.
So cheese 4, 64. Yeah. You have a matchbox? You have a matchbox?
Yeah, I don't know much book.
Great fire builder, no matches.
There's no universal Kenyan psyche, and there's no culture that predates colonialism. There are 40 different tribes in Kenya. Think of it as 40 different countries with very different structures.
They were very autonomous communities and with separate culture and separate way of life. So when colonialists came in, then they sort of unified the different communities by colonizing them and imposing religion and formal education. And that is where now the Kenyan way of life was born. So we are very much westernized. There are factions that say that since we lost our traditions, then we have lost part of ourselves, and the sort of moral decay in the societies because of westernization.
For me and for the people I know, there's no wholesale feeling that we are losing something great just because you accept some other culture that happens to make your life better. For instance, having technology that enables you to talk to someone halfway around the world would be deemed inappropriate by some people from an older generation, saying that you need to visit that guy or you need face-to-face interaction. And to some extent I can understand that. Yes, personal relationships are good, but do I really need to get onto a bus and drive 400 kilometers just to meet you while I can have a video chat?
I think we lost something when we became westernized, because I have nothing from my community that I can pass on to my children.
There's some traditions or cultures that are really not productive. So in that regard, I am not sad to see some of them go.
I think the old traditions just have a very huge significance on the society.
Maybe we are losing the appreciation for those
traditions. It's a pretty old instrument. Like it has a very long history, even longer than the history of China. Not really a lot of people know how to play it.
I think that as we progress, we always lose things. It's really a question of whether we lose the little things or whether we lose something that really is the basis or the core of something. I think every sort of like new advancement comes with something that you kind of lose with it. But I definitely know that there are a lot of things that I don't want the world losing, like history, books, culture. I think progress is all about forgetting, in a way.
It is natural to become more technological if they think technology is a really good thing for them. Of course, people do the thing that they think is right. There is a tradition in China. In the eve of Chinese New Year, there's a very big TV program. People had this tradition of the whole family sitting together and watch this TV performance. I enjoyed just watching with my family so much. But when I was in high school, it started to broadcast on the internet. And I just sit in my room and watch it on the internet. I think it's a loss, you lose some traditions. But I mean, this is really a convenient thing for a lot of people. It's hard to balance.
More and more things are going digital. We're changing the way we access information and we're making it a lot more efficient and easier and more open. And I think that's a great thing. It's definitely human nature to want to improve, and it's definitely my nature to want to improve. I think the ideal that we're striving for is to never lose that mentality, to always feel like things can be improved upon because they always can. I mean, I'm sure we're losing something. It's a little bit early to tell what that is. For me, I don't feel like I'm losing anything. I mean, I choose not to worry. I guess maybe I should be worried, but I don't think there's any point in worrying about something like that. I don't have as many Legos now as I did when I was younger. My dad would always talk about the sound of that for me, looking for stuff all the time. The house would constantly have that sound going through it. My favorite part about Legos is that I guess you're never done with them. The second I got it, a new Lego set, I would build it in the car and follow it by the instructions. But immediately when I got home, I would tear it down and then take my other box out and make new stuff with it. I think that relates directly to what I'm doing now, because I feel like I'm always working towards some goal, and that kind of ties into the mentality of tech and stuff. The idea is taking something old and making it better.
Nanyuki is where I grew up, so it is home. My dad lives in Nanyuki. He runs a farm there. We make the trips up and down all the time. Like, for instance, my mom travels up just about every weekend up to Nairobi, and sometimes my dad comes down. So we see each other. In a month, we'll see each other maybe even 6 times or 5 times. I don't think there's a single tree here I haven't climbed or I haven't fallen out of at some point in my childhood. Over here in Africa or in Kenya, I think people are more frugal. They don't acquire stuff that they don't need. Yes, my father has a cell phone. He doesn't need a computer, so he doesn't have one. He can get one, but he wouldn't have a use for it. What do you actually need a computer for? Well, is it accessing email, doing spreadsheets, doing calculations, storing pictures? See, all these things are things that are not centrally important. They're not a daily need for my father. All the business he does is doable over the phone. There's no surefire way of saying that technology is important and having a laptop is absolutely vital, because there are people who do not have cell phones yet are happy with that state and will not want a cell phone even if offered for free. It's like just throwing technology at a problem may not necessarily be the solution.
This is where I will be living. The postgraduate life hasn't even hit me yet. I think I'll feel more like an adult once I get into that work routine and stuff, but right now I don't really feel like an adult. This is it, my new workplace. It's a digital marketing agency and it's big. They have offices all over the place in the US and international. I feel like I definitely have to prove myself.
So I'm going to drop my CV, see if they can maybe hire me, and try out a few other places. Yeah, just trying out my luck. Well, went better than I expected. It was I've dropped the CV, but I didn't get to see the boss because he's in a meeting and he's busy. So I'll have to come back some other day and. Well, yeah, so crossing all my fingers and other body parts.
I think a lot about the future. I think about it all the time. Everything I do is for the future. I don't really think that I would have any motivation to do things if I didn't have goals. In the near future, getting to study in university, getting to study psychology and dance as well, and getting married as soon as possible because it would ease things a lot. I think everyone's lives are kind of about duplicity and there being two sides, because there's always that side that is in the public and that side that is in the private. In Chinese mythology, there's this bird called the jian, and it's a bird that has only one wing and one eye, and you need two of them to be whole. I've always felt that there are like two parts of me. Basically, I've been working on this for almost like 2 years. I've put a lot of the bad things in my life into it, and when I put them into that, I can use it as like an extension where I can put them and I don't really have to keep them in my head anymore or in my body anymore. And that's the price you pay. I've always had some sort of like inner battle. There's a really like responsible side, trying to be like very good in life. And then there's the other side that is like really dark and kind of like self-destructive. Sleep with one, and that's the price she will pay. Even strangers and even people who've never seen dance can understand the emotion through it. So I think it's been a lot better way to kind of let it out, because when I let it out through words, I'm always scared that someone understands it wrong. Every time I do it, I kind of feel lighter, and not like something is disappearing, but it's not that dark anymore.
I think our generation is definitely revolutionary. I think our reliance on digital tools has the potential to either drive our lives or ruin our lives, depending on what direction it goes in.
I wouldn't say that everything lies on the shoulders of our generation. Anything we do will be building on the previous generation, and they built on their previous generation. So there's no reason why we should limit ourselves to the stuff that our grandfathers knew.
I don't think people think of the influence of internet very often. We realize something changed, but we don't reflect on them. We are so busy enjoying it that we trust that this is a good thing. But it's dangerous now, not alert to the changes happening around us, especially such a big change like this. We should talk about this topic.
I think that it would and will be better to shape technology so that it fits humanity and not shape humanity so that it fits technology. But if we find some sort of like balance between the technological and things that are not technological, then I think that only good can come out of that. I think it's like a lot more important to advance as a person rather than have technology advance.
Thank you.
mother always tells me that my life revolves around technology, and I usually refuse to admit she is right, because every time I hear this question, I get the urge to open all the windows and let the universe in, to prove that my daily project of leaving more fingerprints on the screen of my phone is meaningless.